Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk, Episode 6, Women in Sports, with your host, Joe Dillard Jr. This week's guest, Britney Anderson, Assistant Head Coach of the Stanford Women's Basketball Team and 2021 National Champion. Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk. I'm your host, Joe D, coming back to you with another great episode as we present women in sports, and we continue to bring you those women all across the states and their great position, their great work, their great craft. This week's guest is Britney Anderson, Coach Anderson from Stanford University, national champion women Stanford Lady Cardinals. She will be joining the show. The assistant coach is also from Virginia, so she's had her times growing up in Virginia, also her high school time, and playing collegiately in Virginia at Virginia Tech. So without further ado, this is brought to you by Legacy Maker Sports, Grind and Pray, and let's go right into it. Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk as we bring you women in sports. We are bringing you Britney Anderson, assistant coach at Stanford University, Virginia Tech alum basketball player, high school basketball player in Virginia. How are you doing, and welcome?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here and get to be on somebody's interview. So I'm just happy.
Hey, I'm just glad. Well, see, the feeling's mutual because I'm on yours. You're happy to be on here, and I'm happy to have your time. So we'll go ahead and start with everything so fresh right now as I see the Lady Cardinal logo on your chest there. Take me through the euphoria of winning the national title. I mean, it's something that very few get to experience. So how did it feel? Was it nerve-wracking? Like, I mean, throughout the game, all the way when it happened, what was the emotions running through your mind when that throughout that process?
I think in the beginning of the season for myself, I had heard several times people said, y'all can win it all, y'all can win it all. And for me, it's just, you try not to think about that. You're trying to just take it game by game. Once we played Louisville in the Elite Eight, we were down 12 and a half at the half. And I was like, look, we can't play any worse. But I'm a believer that in order to get to something, you go through every situation possible in order to get there. So that game being down 12 and a half and then coming out and having the second half that we had, I was like, okay, we fought, we dug ourselves out of a hole. And then to go up against South Carolina in the semifinal, and honestly, to be in the Final Four, I think a lot of times as coaches, you think, okay, well, we're in the Final Four. You know, that's a lot of teams' goals, and we're here.
Yeah.
That game was very nerve-wracking. I think it's more nerve-wracking just how it played out at the end. I don't think you could have scripted it that way, and I don't think you could have another game come across that way, the way that it did. So to win by 1 point on a missed putback by Leah Boston was just kind of like your heart stops. You're like, oh, when you look at the score a couple times, you're like, we won. And then to win by 1 in the finals,
Yes.
against a team that you have already beaten twice, it's hard to beat somebody 3rd time. So you're trying to think of like every situation. I think as a coaching staff, you think of every situation we could possibly be in and making sure that they're ready and they're prepared, but they know the seriousness of the game without putting a lot of pressure on them. And I think they wanted it. This team wanted it. I had never been to a Sweet 16 as a player or coach, never been to a Final Four. I mean, Elite 8, Final Four, never won a national championship. So it's just one of those things where it happens and you're like, oh my gosh, it happened. And you get there and everything goes by so fast. You go through everything. And then when you get home, it just kind of like sinks in, like, we won a national championship. But I think it was memorable with COVID. Everything that this group went through made it that much more memorable. But it's something I'll never forget it. And somebody said to me today, and nobody could ever take that away from you. And I was just like, you know what? That's true. Like, always, forever.
That
And
is
it's
100%.
I will always remember it. Always.
That is 100% correct. And it's more like, that whole process is special with the, everybody going through the COVID protocols and being tight knit and staying together and spending so much time together. I can only imagine that makes it that much more sweeter. So talk to me about the decision. I mean, we talk about your background. You come from the East Coast area, coaching at Virginia Tech, being at Virginia Tech as a player, and also coming out of the state of Virginia. But how did it feel to make that decision going west? Like, I mean, I know it was a great scenario, obviously going there now, and looking back on it, but at the time, take me through it.
It was honestly something. Is a dream that you kind of like think about, but it's something that you never know, is that going to happen? Tara Vanderveer is a legend. She's an all-time most winningest coach. Broke that record this year. But I think going into it, there's just something that I couldn't have fathomed at the time. I was at Virginia Tech as an assistant for 5 years. And when I made the decision to leave my alma mater, people were like, well, where are you going? And where could you possibly be going?
Absolutely.
But it came about through my mentor, Bobby Kelsey, who played for Tara, coached with Tara. And I tell people this all the time. Stuff happens and you get thoughts and stuff kind of comes on a whim. You really don't know. 2 years ago, I had the thought, I wonder if Tara only hires within her coaching tree, like former players. Is it all former players? Is it people play for her? Because she hires a lot of her former players to come back and work for her in some capacity. And I just had that thought, and with the thought was just like, oh, well, that will never happen. And I took the place of the person who got a job back with Tara, and I thought, does she only hire within her family, like people that she's coached? So it was honestly a dream come true to work at an institution like Stanford, but also it's an honor to work for a coach who is in pretty much every Hall of Fame. She is the GOAT, all-time winningest coach. Yes. The amount of lives that she's impacted, but also to be able to learn from her. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, I'm really here. I'm really at Stanford learning from her. But it wasn't, if somebody would have told me 8 years into coaching, I'll be at Stanford, I probably would have been like, yeah, right. Like, whatever. But there's just one of those things. It's like something that I guess it was destined to happen. So it happened.
I remember you speaking on not thinking that you were, going to coach or be in that position, but it's so amazing to see how when one put their head down and just continue to grind and take those opportunities that are in front of them, what can happen. And so it's almost like the dominoes lined up, because I talked earlier about the hometown experience, the recognition, the earning your stripes back at home, obviously being a player at Virginia Tech, and then starting your coaching career at Virginia Tech at a high D1 level. You were home pretty much, and most people as coaches in the collegiate level would die to be in that scenario. Like, oh, that's where I want to be. I'm not going anywhere. So I know that was a hard decision, but the one you made was a good decision, obviously, as we see now. Um,
Yes.
and we hope that you could continue with your recruiting this upcoming year, and then continue with coaching and having a great team coming back. So talk to me about women in sports and how it's so essential for you to be a great representative for those young ladies that are looking up to women in position, and in such yours, such Tara, such those all around you, and the women in sports movement.
I think for me, my biggest thing, when I think about it or what it means to me as far as like my position, I think as a Black woman, we don't get as many chances as the next person. And I think I have pretty much, I don't want to say a weight to bear, but I owe it to the people, young women behind me, to take my position serious so that I can help somebody else get a chance. I think that it is being a double minority pretty much in the sports world in general. I think it comes across as I can't mess it up for the next person behind me. And so that's why I take it so serious. I think sports teaches you a lot about life, whether it be basketball, volleyball, soccer. I think sports builds mental toughness, but it also allows you to see, how far you can push yourself, maybe whether it be on the court, on the field, to where you can achieve anything in life. And one of the things sports taught me, especially growing up, I played several different sports growing up until I stuck with basketball, was just that if there's something that needed to be done, I could do it. And that was a big life lesson for me. So I knew that whatever arena, sector, whatever I decided to do in life after sports, which being back in sports now, I owe it to these young women to help them see that, allow basketball to be a vehicle to get you where you're trying to go, but also allow it to be something that you can help show yourself, prove to yourself you're capable of doing pretty much anything. So something as simple as like running a mile or doing certain things, you're pushing yourself, but you're also building mental toughness. And I think toughness for women is looked at and judged depending on how it's expressed, because you're a woman, it's supposed to be expressed a certain way. But I think everybody expresses things in their own way. And you owe it to yourself to be able to express yourself however you would like to.
I just, I let that one run. That was amazing. I really wanted to, and I had a lot of talking points within that because it was such great inspirational words, encouragement. It makes sense. Like all of that came together, and I was just sitting there like, wow. Like I had to look down a couple times and refocus on, keeping the interview moving. And I was like, no, we could just talk right there, and keep going.
We can.
Exactly. And so I'm still going to come back to that. And
Okay.
shout out to, oh man, that's amazing, amazing information there. And I mean, yes, I think it, and I want to do quarterback on it in my little tidbit. And I do think it's very important that young women do see women in these positions more often, and all across the board. And I do understand the adversity that is faced, as I have one of the two, and you're referring to uh, in the sports world, with the double minority. And I get it. I'm very empathetic for all women, because I have that one step too that I have to hurdle. And so if I'm hurdling and you're hurdling, then I'm going to root you on just as much as I would want to be rooted on as myself. So I completely push it as much as I can. That's why we do this. That's why we're trying to do as much as we can on our part. And that's why we salute you, because you've done an amazing job representing very well. Like, I saw you before I knew you were from Virginia. And I was like, yo, she could coach. And I was just watching. And I watched different things
Thank
because I'm a
you.
basketball. Thank you. No, you're welcome. We could talk basketball X's and O's too, because I know I know your specialties and everything. Like, it's very good that somebody has that passion and they're able to put it forward, and it's coming to fruition, because it is a tough grind being a college coach. You had some girls immediate success. Just recently, Kiana Williams got drafted second round, sixth pick with the Seattle Storm. So congratulations to her. The program is building. How does it feel to be at that program? Like, is it, and I said one time before where I know the team meetings are got to be crazy. Even though it was a COVID year, I know that you have to think about all these dynamics of the people from alumni to the celebrities to the fathers to the Wilsons and the Currys. Those names are like across everybody's house right now, and they're in your team meetings like fluid language if possible. So like how how is it to have a good balance of reality and the stardom that you've reached, and you're doing it all through basketball? Like you said earlier, what basketball is presented for you. How does that feel?
I'll start with, actually had our team Zoom last night. We had a banquet, and Chanae and NECA were on there. And I for me, it was you, Chanae, NECA, Abumake, you all played at Stanford. You are household names. You are GOATs here in the women's basketball program at Stanford. But they're the most humble people that I ever listened to talk. And to listen to them talk about Tara, you realize that regardless of where people are coming from, regardless of their background, regardless of who your brother is, regardless of who your god brother, different things,
Yes.
they're there to play basketball, and they're very humble and they're open to learn. They're coachable. They don't feel like they know everything. And it takes a very special, unique person to be able to get into Stanford just because of the academic rigor.
Absolutely.
To get in and play at a high level, I think, honestly, well, I know what Tara has done as far as that is the reason why the program is successful, but it has brought notoriety to the program, and it puts these young women in position to be able to do whatever they want to do in life. It opens different doors, but they're the most humble. They are the most humble. I met at the Final Four, I met Sonia Curry, Steph Curry's mother, the nicest. She's from Virginia, by the way. The nicest person, and you would have never even known she was there to cheer for the team, cheer for her goddaughter.
Yes.
Just kind of like just humble, and that's honestly people that you want to be around.
Very joyous.
9 out of 10 times, especially when it comes to especially when you're in the sports world. But very, very, they're just humble. They're humble kids.
So I was thinking about it in the middle when you were saying that, and I'm going to rewind you a little bit. So they're very educated because they go to Stanford. During practice, or is it ever challenging because of that education level? Or I want the double-edged sword version. Or is it awesome to prepare at a high level intensity because of their IQs? Like, I know it pulls both ways.
It pulls both ways. I'll give you an example. This year in practice, I have the Oregon State scout, and we had gone through plays. At our place, we get to their place, you're going through plays, and one of our players was like, "Coach, what about this play?" And she knew like the signal that the coach gave because I did it through walkthrough. And I said, "Oh, okay, that play." They remember everything. They remember everything. You show it to them. They can remember it. They can regurgitate it. They can tell their teammates about it. They can help each other through it. So you're preparing at a high level just because they're in tune to what's going on, but they're the type of people that you show them something one time, they're going to remember it. So I was like, thank you. Because at the time I didn't think about it, but for her to help me in that moment, I was like, you know what? I can always count on you.
It's one thing coaches need to say more. And I say it from my self-experience that players teach us so many lessons. Even though we may teach them so many in their main ones and the ones that hold them for years upon years, we get those lessons yearly from every team. It's something that you grow every year having a team. And so that's an amazing feeling to have. So like, let's run it right into that then. Talk to me about like your love for basketball. Like, where did that come from? Like, take me through the childhood run. Like, how did it happen?
I didn't always have a love for basketball or sports in general in the beginning, but my parents always had a rule: you have to play something. My mom played basketball at Howard. My dad played basketball at GW. My dad's in the Hall of Fame at GW. He's like, he loves basketball. And
I
so
have to stop. I have to stop. See, and this is the fun part about this one. You didn't have a love for basketball, but both parents played collegiate basketball. And so it's it I'm glad they did what they did. Shout out to them because of who you are now. Like I don't care. I don't even care how long they had to wait it out. You know what I mean? Like I just had to think about that. I was like, your dad and your mom played and you
I just kind of just didn't. I was
carry on.
prissy, girly. I just didn't. It just
Multiple
it
levels.
wasn't.
Hey, multiple hats.
Wasn't for me. So you had to play something in our house, whether it be that we tried soccer, softball, basketball, volleyball, and I played basketball and volleyball for a while, and then I made this decision to stick with basketball. But the love for me, I think, came from being cut from an AU team and being told that I would not play Division I basketball, and I wasn't really good at it. And me and my younger sister tried out for this team. And my mom was basically like, it's either you take both, you can't have one and not the other, because I'm the oldest of three. So me and my sister went and played for an AU team, and some kind of way I found out that I had been cut from this team. This guy really didn't want me on the team. And I was not, I'll be honest with you, I was not good. I wasn't good. I was trying to kind of figure it out. I was very string beanish, long, gangly, just trying to figure it out.
That coordination together.
And it just wasn't there. I was just not it. And that just kind of like pushed me, and I kind of grew into loving it, but it was more so to prove this person wrong. And then I felt like, okay, I really want to do this, and told my parents, okay, I want to play in college. And from there, it just kind of took off. I love basketball. I could sit and watch it all day. It's on now. I can just watch the game, doing scouts, just like different things, trying to see what people are doing. But just
basketball junkie, huh?
I'm a basketball junkie. I used to go to Kidder League all the time.
I have a jacket for you. It's a club, you know. It's a club of basketball junkies, and I'm welcome to it. You know, I love a basketball junkie.
I love it. So it's just been something that now I do pinch myself from time to time. Like, this is my career, this is my living, this is my job. Like, I'm a basketball coach.
So
all day.
So I'll laugh with you on this one and spill myself. So I had a situation one time where I was a freshman and I was getting ready to run track for the Virginia State, and my love for basketball was just still pouring out, coming out as a freshman from high school, thinking that I, could have played. And I went through every possible basketball gym outing at the school, all the way into intramurals, and played. And so I tried not to get caught double dipping with track practice and intramurals until track decided to move practice indoors. And I was just like, uh-oh. And
are you going to do both?
I had to make a decision. And let me just tell you, I get it. It's a double-edged sword on how you look at it. But I had to tell basketball goodbye. Like that was my farewell, and it hurt. And so my 4 years of running track, I loved it. I love my track people. I will run in Stanford track all day. It is one of the best experiences ever. But as soon as I graduated track, I immediately started coaching basketball. And I didn't. That's just how it is. And so I just had to keep basketball in my life too. And like, regardless of how I do it, it's just got to be done. And so that was just my little tidbit on the basketball junkie club. So like, yeah, the double sport, volleyball and basketball. Let's talk about it to the young ladies then. How important is it to play two sports? Like, how did that benefit you? Because obviously you did not say that basketball was your love. So it wasn't a direct path, nor you might have loved volleyball and it didn't pan out. I mean, it's just, how did both those sports help you with, becoming an athlete, with life lessons? How did that work together?
Volleyball was more, it was an experience. With volleyball, I think we played club volleyball, AU basketball, you're traveling and you're seeing different things. Club volleyball was pretty easy for me. I wasn't challenged in it too much. athletic enough. It helps you with like timing and different things. I liked basketball more, just because it's not to shoot volleyball down. You just get to do more. It's more action.
That's the
There's
whole
more up and
concept.
down. So I think that honestly, you should play everything. Try everything, play everything, see what you like. I tried tennis. That was one sport I tried. I wish I was better at it. I love Venus and Serena. I love Coco now.
Yes.
I love Naomi Osaka now, but I was
Yes.
bad at it. So we tried pretty much everything, and you just kind of realize like what you're good at and what you're not good at. But I just think there's more out there than what people see or think that there is as far as like sports wise. But I think young girls should be pushed to do more. With my niece, she's trying everything now. She's talking about she wants to try karate and some more. But it's just
Every
because when you try sports when you're younger, it just opens your eyes to I want to try that or I want to do this. And if you have opportunities to do it, I think you should, just to see if you like it.
Absolutely. Participation's a major thing, and we work with Parks and Rec, and so I know that it's very hard to have that across the board. Where if we got 3,600 participants, it's not going to be 18 and 18 or 19 and 17. It's going to be like 24 and 12, if at best. And those who do that think they're doing well. And I'm saying to myself, there's when I grew up, I was told that there were more girls than men in the world. So I'm pretty sure that that's still the case. And so for them to think in participation in sports that, oh, half of it's good, that's not good. That's actually really bad numbers. And so,
Yeah.
we had Dr. Jen Welter on one time, and she was talking about 2% in groups hitting quotas of participation. And she's looking like this isn't good. This isn't good. So I'm glad that the awareness is being brought all around the board, but with Parks and Rec, we're trying to see how we can push it even more, like just to continue doing things. So I will definitely have to keep you in the loop with things like that.
Yes.
Obviously, you are very busy, but at the same time, when it's for women in sports and young ladies, we can always find that time, I'm hoping. So
Always.
thank
Always.
you, thank you, thank you. So I appreciate your time. I'm sure you've got a busy schedule ahead of you, so we wish you all the success.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you representing very well. It's kind of like that grandma in back kind of thing where you're in church and you look back and she gives you the nod. You're good to
Thank
go, or
you.
you're in trouble. You're getting the nod today because we're throwing you roses. Continue what you're doing.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you. So thank you for coming on Commonwealth and Women in Sports Feature.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You do the same.